It is day number 4 of NFL free agency, and what a wild week it has been, folks. Welcome into this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. We are going to give our grades for every single signing the Hawks have made to this point, and I'll give you my overall grade for John Schneider and company coming up at the end of today's show. Let's kind of set the scene for you for a moment on just kind of my overarching thoughts of free agency for the Hawks at this point in time. And I got to tell you, they've made some splashes, no doubt about it, with the Sam Darnold signing, getting your quarterback of the future. That was a big deal. Adding a big name like DeMarcus Lawrence was huge for this team. But even with that said, and I got to tell you, I loved the re-signing of Ernest Jones. We'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. You've had those big moments, but there still appears to be something missing. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And that's the offensive line situation. Through 4 days, it's not fixed. Now, help could potentially be on the way with some names still available in the market at the offensive line, but Seattle hasn't been aggressive in getting that done to this point. We also have some big questions at the receiver position to this point. So I think where I look at this is that Seattle's at a good starting point, but there's some unfinished business ahead over these coming days that John Schneider and company need to capitalize on. How would you grade free agency for Seattle so far to this point? If you had to put a letter grade on it, what would it be? A, B, C, D, or F? Weigh in the comments section. Let me know what your grade would be. We are going to continue to cover free agency here on Seattle Seahawks Today as we are talking about every single signing on the channel when it comes to moves that are big or small and everything in between. We are covering it all, folks. We just reached 64,000 subscribers on the channel this week, and we are not stopping there. I want us to get to 65,000 next. Who wants to help us out? Stay up to date. If there's a major signing, we'll go live. If it's a smaller one, we're still bringing you a video on the channel. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Lock us in for free. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Let's begin with DeMarcus Lawrence, the newest member of the Seattle Seahawks, comes in from the Dallas Cowboys, and he's had a fantastic career. 32 years old. He's been to 4 Pro Bowls in his career. He's had multiple seasons with 10-plus sacks. He was off to a good start to 2024 prior to the season-ending injury when he had 3 sacks. But you're looking at somebody that you're spending a lot of money on, that on top of that has a recent injury history and is a bit older. I like the signing, but you are taking a risk here. I think they've managed the risk with only giving him $18 million guaranteed in this deal. So that's why I'm going a B+ here. I think it's a good signing, but it's not guaranteed to work. I can't say for certain that this is all going to work out. Now, Mike Macdonald has an excellent track record when it comes to working with these older pass rushers. I'm optimistic about this signing, but only time will tell. So that's why I go with a B+ here. Sam Darnold is your new starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks in 2025, taking over for Geno Smith. 27 years old, coming off a fantastic season where he was named the most improved player in the National Football League as he led the Vikings to a lot of wins and the playoffs this year, threw for 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Contract is pretty decent, too. 3 years, $100.5 million, 55 of that guaranteed. So if Sam were to struggle, you can get out of this contract situation without having to pay too much, relatively speaking. I'm going to go with an A- here. I like Sam Darnold. I think he's going to be better than Geno Smith. I do believe this is an upgrade, a cheaper quarterback that's younger, that's a better quarterback. That all sounds good. I go A-, though, because like what we mentioned with DeMarcus Lawrence, it's not completely guaranteed that this is going to work out. This is a huge investment for a guy that has had one fantastic year of production compared to the rest of his career. Was that 1 year an anomaly, or is his best football still in front of him, like Mike Macdonald says? We'll find out. MVS also added to the roster, to the receiving corps. The 30-year-old, most recently with the New Orleans Saints, reunites with offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak in Seattle, coming off a season where he had 19 catches for 411 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I'll be honest, I hated the signing of MVS. And here's the reasons why I don't like this signing. MVS had a golden opportunity in Kansas City, getting to play alongside Patrick Mahomes in a receiving corps that was depleted after Tyreek Hill departed. And there was a lot of optimism about him coming over from Green Bay, an emerging receiver, and he didn't really do much in Kansas City. Ultimately, he gets released, even with winning 2 Super Bowl titles. Then he goes to a Buffalo Bills team with Josh Allen, another MVP quarterback. A great opportunity there with a receiving corps looking for answers after moving on from Stephon Diggs. And what happened? Well, he ended up getting released from there during the middle of the season. Now, granted, he did have a decent turnaround in New Orleans. But when the best thing I can say about you is that you're going to draw some DPI calls because of him being a potential threat in the deep passing game, that isn't very reassuring. So with that said, I don't like the signing. $5.5 million. I think you could have done a lot better than MVS, quite frankly. I'm going with a D there. Ernest Jones IV is back in Seattle as he signed a 3-year, $33 million deal right before free agency began. And when you look at his deal, compared to some of the other linebackers at his position that got paid, like Zach Bond and Nick Bolton, Seattle came out pretty good, paying him 3 years, $33 million for a guy that's just now entering his prime at 25 years old. Was a huge difference maker for this Hawks defense in 2024. Really led the turnaround for Seattle's defense in the second half of the season. I thought you had no choice but to bring Ernest Jones back after you made that trade for him, giving up Jerome Baker and draft capital. I like what John Schneider and company did here. I'll go with an A for the signing of Ernest Jones. I love it. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in year 2 in Seattle. What's your favorite signing the Seattle Seahawks have made? No wrong answers here. Just want to hear from you guys directly. What is your favorite signing that we've seen so far to this point? Weigh in. Give me a name in the comments section below. Speaking of signings, I've been teasing this the last couple days. They're finally here. Sam Darnold jerseys are on sale now at chatsports.com/Darnold. Simple as that. Chatsports.com/Darnold is where you can get these Sam Darnold jerseys on sale now. A brand new number 14. And I got to tell you, he's going to be looking really good. That ginger is wearing that number 14. And, folks, these jerseys, they are going hot, and we got a great deal. Not only do we have the jerseys now, we have free shipping on the Sam Darnold jerseys as well for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Be the very first one to be rocking a jersey of your new franchise quarterback in Seattle. Chatsports.com/Darnold is where you can get these jerseys. Free shipping available as well. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Also, other Seahawks merchandise available at that link, chatsports.com/Darnold, to get yours today. Jarran Reed returns to Seattle after 2 very good seasons with this Seahawks team. Last year had 4.5 sacks, 5 TFLs, 15 QB hits, and 45 tackles. I'm going to go with an A for Jarran Reed. And when I think big picture here, I like what Mike Macdonald and John Schneider are doing with this defensive line. It wasn't too long ago we were talking about this group being a weakness for the Hawks, and now it's a strength with Jarran Reed holding things down, Leonard Williams coming off a career season. You have an emerging rookie in Byron Murphy II as well. You need some depth pieces. I think we know that. But overall, this group is really solid. And Jarran Reed is a well-respected, well-liked player. He's been kind of the veteran voice of that defense in the locker room. I'm going to go in it with an A with the signing on Jarran Reed there. Let's talk Josh Jobe now. He returns to Seattle on one of the cheapest deals of free agency for the Hawks. Just 1 year, $2 million. And quite the story for Josh Jobe. As 2024 went along, Trey Brown gets hurt. He gets the opportunity to step in off the practice squad, where he's been pretty much a practice squad player his entire career. And he capitalized on the chance he got. As you may recall, his one interception he had was on Josh Allen, of all people. And that was the first interception that Josh Allen had thrown all season. He ended up with 37 tackles and 7 pass breakups as well. A very good campaign for Josh Jobe in that sense, all things considered. But I'll say this, I'll give it an A. Cheap contract. I think everybody would be glad to have Josh Jobe on their team. But even with that said, I don't feel completely comfortable with him as another outside corner next to Riq Woolen as a starter. Personally, I would like to see Seattle find a way to find a better starting outside corner, let Jobe be the backup, have some depth there, some much-needed depth, and I think that would be the best point of action on that front. Witherspoon at the nickelback spot, Riq at the outside, and then someone else, and let Josh Jobe be the backup, and I think then all of a sudden your corner room is in pretty decent shape. Our final signing, Josh Jones, the offensive tackle from the Baltimore Ravens, comes in. Didn't see him a whole lot in 2024, but he did a solid job when it came to pass blocking. His overall grade, not that great. His run block grade, not that great. But you didn't spend a ton, and you have a backup swing tackle that's younger than what you had in George Fant previously. I have every reason to think that Josh Jones is going to be more available than George Fant was, who was basically injured this entire season. But with that said, just because I haven't seen a whole lot of him, I don't know what my confidence level would be in him on the football field at this point in time. But at least him being healthy compared to George Fant is a step in the right direction. I'll go with a C on this signing. Not my favorite, but not terrible. Passing grade at the very least. I'll give you my overall grade in just a moment, but want to hear from you guys. How would you grade Seahawks free agency so far? A, B, C, D, or F? Get your grades in that comment section and let us know. My overall grade, I'm going to go C+. You've hit some home runs, and you've taken some big shots with Sam Darnold, DeMarcus Lawrence, getting Ernest Jones back, getting Jarran Reed back. All of that is good. But the reason why this is C+ for me is it's incomplete. The job is not finished. There's still more work to be done. You need offensive line help. Go get that offensive line help. We're 4 days in the free agency, and this offensive line is not any better than what it was a couple of days ago. I know you brought in Josh Jones, but Laken Tomlinson's out that door now, and you haven't replaced him just yet. You haven't replaced a starting guard at this point. I do think help is on the way, and you do have the draft coming up as well. But, John, he's got to get with it. We got to figure this thing out sooner than later, and the clock is ticking on it. Hopefully that changes soon. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. We'll keep you covered all offseason long here on the channel. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.